Hello, afternoon. It's warm-ish, warm enough to not have a coat on, and the wind has dropped. Hopefully, the wind has dropped enough that you can hear me rather than which often happens when I attempt to do a Facebook Live outside. It was quite rare that first year of living here, 2018, to have so many calm, still days. 2019 was just like every day was like a blustering gale. So at the moment, I think the wind has kind of calmed enough for you to maybe listen. So you might have noticed that yesterday I posted a book list. Or rather, I've had a book list online for a long time now, probably a good 10 years it's been on Facebook. And it began just as a list of 100 books, favourite books. And then as I've got more books, it's been added to and added to and added to and added to. Of quite a few subjects, not really that diverse. The bulk of it is kind of neuroscience stuff, whether it's neuroscience, astrology, esoteric pagan things, archaeology, as the full, I think it's pretty much the complete reading list for an MSc in archaeology in there. So I did a thing a few years ago on Facebook, around the time that my foot was really injured. I couldn't really go far. And so I started doing Facebook Lives talking about books. And I only did a few of them, but I thought it might be a nice idea to kind of do something like that in the afternoon, through this kind of isolation time, just in case there's something that kind of catches your ear or catches your eye and you kind of want to know a little bit more about some things. So this is a book I definitely recommend. It's called The Web of Life by Fritjof Capra. I know sometimes my phone does a mirror image. It's called The Web of Life by Fritjof Capra. So just type Web of Life Capra in Amazon and it'll come up. And it's a book that kind of is a good introduction into systems theory. What is systems theory? Systems theory emerged in the kind of mid-20th century as a way of looking at life and phenomena, sociologically, but also biologically, and by looking at the networks of things rather than the objects or the stuff of things. So, for example, a systems theory approach to understanding biology would be quite different to an objectivist, right? So, if you wanted to understand a donkey and you were an objectivist, you'd say, well, there's a donkey, it's an object, it has bones and skin, and inside its bones and skin, it has a muscular frame, and it has internal organs. And if you want to understand a donkey, you take it apart, and then you explore each of these bits. Whereas in systems theory, you can only understand a donkey in relationship with other donkeys and relationship with its environment as well. So from a psychosocial perspective, which kind of draws from that idea, a Freudian analyst, if a Freudian analyst wanted to understand Mrs. Jones, he would be on a couch or a chair, and Mrs. Jones would be lying on a couch, and the Freudian analyst would sit with his back to Mrs. Jones, so he can't see her face, then ask questions and then make notes. Whereas a psychosocial approach would be, if you want to understand Mrs. Jones, then you need to know where she lives, about her family, the media she's exposed to, what newspapers she reads or buys, what TV programs she watches, what kind of food she eats, the holistic picture, so that you can understand Mrs. Jones in the context of multiple layers of different dynamics of life, rather than just ask her, specific questions. And so this book, The Web of Life, Fritjof Capra, explores this kind of idea of looking at our cells and our biology through systems theory, and a lot of different kind of layers of science have kind of started to look at this systems idea. at least which kind of began to really take hold, I guess, in the 70s and 80s. So, for example, if you think of yourself, you might know of yourself as well. You're a self. Of course, you're a self. Yeah, but yourself is about 1 trillion single-cell creatures. And these single-cell creatures have organized themselves into clusters of things that have some kind of functional purpose, like eyebrows and bones and teeth and toenails and things, right? All of the bits of our anatomy are all collections of creatures that live in harmony with one another and have a sense of mutual cooperation. It's an incredible system when you think about it. So one way of looking at this is if you think of a whirlpool. So imagine there's a stream, and it's a fast-flowing stream. It has to be fast-flowing to create a whirlpool. And if it's fast enough, it will create a whirlpool structure in the water. A bit like the way you see, water kind of drain out of a plug when you first pull the plug out. There's this slight whirlpool thing that goes down. But in the whirlpool itself, it can only exist because of the rapidity of flow. So each molecule of water will only be part of the whirlpool structure for about a second, because it keeps getting replaced and replaced and replaced. And it's the rapidity of flow that creates the structure. If you slowed the flow of the water down, then the whirlpool itself would stop. So our cells are like that. We have cells that make up our skin. Our skin cells fall off. We call that dust, or house dust, and it's replaced once a month. You get brand new skin. Your pancreas replaces about every 48 hours. If you've been alive for a few decades, you will have brand new bones. The bones you have now, if you're over the age of 30, are not the bones you were born with. They've been replaced, or rather, the cells have been replaced. So what makes us continue life is the fact that our cells keep dying and being reborn, and dying and being reborn again. The structure of our society is similar to this in a way. We have so if you think of a cell, a single cell, so it's got stuff within it. That's itself. It has a membrane around the outside of it, and the membrane holds the structure in place. But the membrane is also a barrier to the outside world at the same time. But the membrane is porous, so stuff leaks in through the membrane from the environment around it, goes inside the cell, and then the cell does stuff with that, metabolizing, right? So one byproduct of that metabolizing process is toxin. So that's ejected back through the porous membrane, back into the environment that's around it. A part of the metabolizing process isn't just fuel for its continued existence, it also recreates the membrane that surrounds it. And it's what's called an autopoietic system, so a self-making system. So then these little single cells that are self-making, self-replicating, which means that a byproduct of their existence is that they can create the structure within which to recreate their existence again. And they get together and create knees and ankles and things like this, and you have a self. And you live in a house, and your house is an autopoietic system in a similar way. Your house has a boundary. Stuff from the outside world comes in, so you go shopping, you get food, hopefully you get food. And you also bring in mud on your shoes, right? So stuff from the outside world comes into the system. The things that come into the system are then dealt with in an appropriate way. So the food, is the nutrition and the fuel for the householders. The dust on the shoes is swept out again. The rubbish and things that are left over are ejected from the system. They're taken out again like this. And the more you have that kind of usage cleansing process, it facilitates the house itself. And if you expand that out again and you have like many dwellings, you have an urban space or a city. And the city only exists because of its flow, the flow of movement within it. If you removed all the people from a city, it's just a museum of concrete and bricks, right? It doesn't have any life in it. It's the economy and the movement of people within a city that actually brings vibrancy to it. And that means exchange, constant exchange. So if somebody got some money, or let's be more, I guess, topical, if somebody got some toilet roll, right, and they locked it into a vault, into a room, it would just kind of decay, and it would have no value to that individual whatsoever at all, because they're not making use of it. If you have some money and you lock that into a vault, it's just dead stuff. If you have some money and you spend it, then the energy that's represented by that money comes into your system, and then you spend it, so the energy leaves your system, and then because you're spending it, that means you're buying something. So you're buying food or fuel for your car or paying your TV or whatever it is you're doing, right? And that money goes into another system, which then feeds the life forms within that system. So if everybody spent all their money, then the money would flow around, and we'd all be part of this unifying kind of networking system, and there wouldn't be as much kind of a problem with poverty, right? It's like love. Love's like that too. The more generous you are, the more you love people, the more love goes around, and it just circulates back and comes back to you again. So when you have a healthy system, it's in a constant state of flow of movement, and all the cities exist within a larger biological system, as we know. There are microbes, floating through our system at the moment that are causing some of the biologies to shut down their ability to keep reprocessing. Apparently some of the people's immune systems are overreacting to such an extent that it's actually, stopping their internal organs from functioning, which is horrific when you think about it, from the viewpoint of keeping it going. But we live within this weather system as well, so our what we call kind of temperature, wind and things, they're all thermal currents, and the movement of water around the earth is largely done by the oceans, but also clouds as well. So water is picked up and it's moved across the planet and dropped off to another space and things. There are whole civilizations that have built up around, spring tides, or when there are monsoons, and, when the Nile would flood again and irrigate the land. And so how we as human beings live in this world is also a part of a system, if that makes sense. Capra says in his book that this, of course, ends at the stratosphere, and he says, there isn't this kind of sense of the solar system or the universe being a part of the system, and he says it isn't a pangenetic universe. I disagree with that, because I'm an esotericist as well as anything else. And I was watching Brian Cox, he who hates and detests astrology, right? But I was watching it because he's very good at astronomy and physics, and he's nice to listen to, apart from when he talks about astrology. But everything else is fine, and I understand why he's got his viewpoint. So I'm not that kind of bothered about him having that viewpoint. But he said in one of his programs on Wonders of the Solar System that the Earth's ecosystem extends to the far reaches of the solar system. Just think of that phrase. The Earth's ecosystem extends to the far reaches of the solar system. And of course, the far reaches of the solar system is the heliosphere. Right? That's not just the sun with the planets going around it. There's a broader way of looking at that called the heliosphere, where you look at the sun's magnetic field, and you look at the kind of the span, if you like, of the sun's solar wind, or in other words, the light, the photons that eject out from the sun, right? So Google that, by the way. Go into Google. You can click images, just type heliosphere, and you get some amazing artist impressions of what they think all that is like. And Voyager 1 and 2 have now left the heliosphere, and they're traveling through interstellar space. Anyway, back to this stuff. So if the Earth's ecosystem is a part of the solar system, if they're a unified kind of dynamic, then that means that if you think of another thing that's presented in this book, The Web of Life by Capra, is the notion of nested environments. So a cell is nested inside your body is nested in your household, that's nested within a culture, within a nation, within a weather system, and if that's nested inside a solar system, then that means that if there's something that takes place in your house or in your body, then that affects the people around you. If there's something that happens with the people around you, that can affect your body, right? And so from the perspective of a system and nested environments, if something happens in the celestial sphere, then that will have some kind of movement within our weather system. That can have a movement, therefore, within your body, and that can have a movement within your cells. That sounds a bit kind of new agey, doesn't it, really? A bit lame, possibly. Don't know. But how I found this book was through a lecture. I was doing a Master of Science degree in Psychosocial Studies at UE, University West of England. And this tutor was going to give us the introductory lecture to systems theory, and he was using this book as a basis. He said it's a good introduction, which is why I'm talking about it now. And he said, this might sound odd, he said, but from a systems theory perspective, if Saturn is orbiting the Sun and it's making a movement in the solar system, that can correlate with a subtle or dramatic movement within you. This is a science lecture, and I fell off my chair because to say that a celestial body moving through the process of nested environments from a systems theory perspective can therefore affect some kind of movement, subtle or dramatic, in one way with all of the other environments that are nested within that, that's a basis for astrology. I fell off my chair, nearly literally, but figuratively. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Yeah. And then when Brian Cox said 3 times, I think it's in the, when he's looking at Jupiter, that the Earth's ecosystem extends to the far reaches of the solar system. I bought the book just to see if he says that phrase in the book so I can quote it. But it's not written down in the book, it's just on the TV program. But at least, there is a record, it's documented, it's there. So, yeah, if you want to get into systems theory and have a look at things, check out The Web of Life, Fritjof Capra. It's old. I'm pretty sure there are kind of second-hand copies around. You might be able to pick up a paperback version or even a hardback version if we just look around a bit. ABE Books is a good place to get second-hand books, and they do pop up on Amazon from time to time. Okay, yeah, so that's a book for today. And if I can remember to do this, I might forget, you see, but if I can remember to do this, not necessarily outside, but I'll see if I can do a book a day, just to give you something to kind of look at, think about. You never know, there might be something at some point that will spark an interest or a brand new train of thought for you. And, you can have life from a completely different perspective when you do that. Yeah. How's that sound? Is that fun? Yes, it's really weird. When I'm doing these Facebook Live things, it only shows me 2 of the people that are watching. Hello. Right. And there might be other people watching. And if people make comments, I actually can't see the comments. I know that sometimes I've watched Facebook Lives by other people and they can interact with what people are saying. But yeah, I don't know if you have to touch something or press something or... I don't know. I have no idea what you're thinking. I can only know that when I look at the comments afterwards. Yeah, so... this up as I go along, by the way. I have no idea what it's going to do next, but I like that. That sounds like that could become something. I like that. That's nice. And that other. And then starting from the top and go back down. If you liked any of this chatter about the book, chatter about the web of life indeed, or this piece of musical thing, let me know. This is the only way I can find out if it's worth doing this again. You see, yeah. So write something, whether in a private message or put a comment beneath this. It's very helpful, you know, because of the inability to telepath what you're thinking. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that means you've got to write something and it's a pain. But it's just, you know, yeah. But if you found anything in this that you really like, then I'll grab a different book off the shelf tomorrow. And, yeah, some of it will be kind of a bit weighty in tone, I would imagine, because that's the way I tend to think, you know. Yeah, I'm sure somewhere I've got a book called Buddhism for Sheep. I'll see if I can find it. It's just a comical thing, but it's quite funny. There was a little period, I think, through the mid to late 90s, when different philosophies and things were being sort of revised through kind of childhood character context. So, you know, the Tao of Pooh and things like this, which were actually very good. Yeah, I'll fish around and see what I can find and share a variety of things over the next period of time, you know. something to do and something to share. Yeah. Oh, by the way, talking about something to share, if you look at my current Facebook profile photo or my current Facebook cover photo, you'll see that you can register to have a free meditation on Sunday evening called the Inner Light Meditation. And the purpose of the Inner Light Meditation isn't just to, enable you to deeply relax. Being deeply relaxed at the moment is a cool thing. It's respite from worry. But also, it incubates deep inner healing and with the intention of strengthening the immune system. And that's not just the physical immune system, but also the other layers of our holistic selves. So our emotional immune system, intellectual immune system, psychic immune system, ideological immune system, romantic immune system, social immune system, our spiritual immune system. So that you maintain or retain that which is nutrient and eject the toxins from your system so you can be healthy. It's what we want for all of us, isn't it? At the moment. So anyway, you can participate in that for free if you want. Just look at the Facebook profile and the cover picture for instructions of how to register. Okay. Take care, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, we'll make it an afternoon thing, I think. Hopefully, the weather will be this nice. If not, then I'll just talk from inside the office. All right. But yeah, another book tomorrow. I don't know if there'll be another tune tomorrow, or maybe there might be. But anyway, you take care. I'll see you later. All right. Bye. Stay safe.